Sing it.
You know. Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Man, he hit that high note. That's why he's coughing.
You know, I'm telling you, he's an amazing vocalist.
It's a COVID cough. It's nothing.
Yeah, if he wasn't just like kidding half the time he's singing, he'd be awesome.
Yes.
You're a closet Eddie Vedder.
I'm trying. I'm a closet Chris Cornell. I'm a closet Dave Grohl.
Oh, Dave.
I'm a closet Lane Staley. I'm a closet Kurt Cobain.
You're so biased to the Seattle music scene, dude.
It was the 90s, and I got to live it.
It's
lived down there in the grunge time, and there was no better time to be in Seattle. It's been all downhill since then.
Yeah. Actually, pretty much. Music has kind of sucked for the last 20 years.
That was the peak, you know. Seattle peaked probably 94, 95, and then boo. I mean, what do you get after that? Presidents of the United States of America and bands like that, you know. We've had a few, but nothing major.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I know that's sad. So, all right. What are we going to talk about?
Hey.
The best censored networks ever?
What? No. Hey, also, before we do that, speaking of grunge music, which this is the real topic, I was late to the party. I did finally watch, it came out in 2011. I just watched it. I'm such a loser. I watched Foo Fighters Back and Forth documentary. I think I saw it on Amazon. And basically it took you from Nirvana through Kurt's death, even adding, a lot of people forget that Pat Smear joined the band towards the end of Nirvana, and then 8 months of depression, and then just slowly going and making a mixtape, making a tape, and then slowly building Foo Fighters all the way to about 2011. It's a must watch, folks. Watch it.
Rob, did you see Foo Fighters live at ACL?
No. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good. You know, anytime I can see a great band and the UT Tower right behind them, it's all good. Hook 'em horns.
ACL, I mean, they put out some good stuff. So
absolutely, forever.
See, one of these days, Mark is going to have to represent Spanish rock and roll, or maybe, you know, I have to learn a bunch of flamenco tunes, and then we'll give him a little bit of, and then you and Rob can battle it out to, you know, argue, was the Seattle rock scene better than the
Barcelona
1990s flamenco scene?
Yeah.
Don't do it. I'm not a big fan of Spanish music, so I'm more like a 60s, 70s rock band.
Led Zeppelin.
Actually, connecting with Foo Fighters topic, that it's the topic of today. Okay. I really like the movie Almost Famous.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
but I think the guitarist is the Foo Fighters guitarist, right?
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
Remember when they're on the bus together and they start singing Tiny Dancer?
Yeah.
That was great. They're all kind of singing it together. I love that.
That's a wonderful song.
Well, I can't believe that Mark will not defend, you know, modern rock from Spain. So, you know, the Spaniards, they have, I guess, their own version of a Jimmy Morrison, and the guy's name is Enrique Bunbury from Zaragoza, and he's the man. And I will be surprised if Mark doesn't have a big Héroes del Silencio tattoo on his sholdder.
Well, David, you're just going to have to defend Spanish rock music.
I invested so many time on IoT that I don't know any song about Enrique Bunbury. But actually, yesterday I was driving to pick up my daughter to the school, and they were saying that most of the lyrics of Enrique Bunbury from all his bands are copied from.
Lots of controversy, but a lot of artists, you know, they're talking about you get inspiration from things that you read. I mean, like, if you're going to come up with a song about love, is it all going to be authentic, never heard before lyrics? So I don't know. I like the guy, and I don't have the view of an artist to say whether he's pillaging or he's really, that creative. But the man puts a great show.
It shouldn't feel bad. Led Zeppelin just now recently settled a lawsuit over Stairway to Heaven, right?
Exactly. And
that the riff was copied the same and stuff like that. Yeah. So it happens to the best of them.
You know what? Yeah. I mean, like,
but if you did plagiarize and cheat, then you would have to be like Dave Grohl and just come up and say, I got another confession to make.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm just letting everybody know this is no longer an IoT podcast. It's all rock and roll 24/7.
And next week, stay tuned as we talk about gangster rap.
Yeah.
NWA
special host, Stephanie Atkinson.
East Coast, West Coast. Today's
right out of Compton, baby.
Oh no!
Absolutely.
Oh my God!
Yeah. You know what we're gonna do to the police?
Yep.
Yes.
So go ahead.
No. At this point, I say no, I gotta leave in 7 minutes. So I'm not doing this. So I guess Wi-Fi 6 is going to win today.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well,
what's a sensor? What's a sensor network?
Yeah, what's a sensor? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about sensors, right?
Stephanie, what are sensors?
What the sensor?
Well, we've talked about this before. Like we've gotten into some of the nuts and bolts. But I thought it would be cool for us to. I mean, I think the Wi-Fi 6/5G debate is kind of cool on the network side, and then there's all these other things that are happening with fiber and everything else. But I thought it was cool. I've been kind of keeping my eyes and ears open for there we go, for cool new sensors that are kind of emerging, things that we haven't sensed before. Yeah. And so I kind of started making a little list of that and started kind of taking note of that because there's some cool stuff out there that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. Oh my God.
USB-C.
USB-C. That's not a sensor. See, you guys would get an F on an IoT test.
I'm ready.
Both
to
of you
learn,
guys.
Stephanie. I'm ready to learn. I'm so clueless about sensors. I'm like that. Remember that scene when Katie Couric was on the Today Show and she goes, "What is internet?" So teach me.
I think it's funny because about the sense, I would say sensors are essentially the foundation for a lot of IoT solutions that are out there, and especially on the industrial side, right? We talk about how important connectivity is, but sensors are like a foundational piece of a lot of the things that we talk about every week here at IoT Coffee Talk. And I think when people think about sensor technologies or sensing, the most common things that come up are like temperature, humidity, all of these dirt and all of these things. But I think what's cool that's happening in the industry is that, with COVID and remote work, there's all these cool things that are coming out. And I know we've talked about some of the cool ones from last year, like gunshot detection and some other things, but some cool stuff came out of CES. There was some stuff around some new sensor technologies around sound, like glass breaking, being able to detect daylight versus night. So the visual camera of what time of day it is. Some other things. There's a company that I've been working with that this has actually been around for a while, but some of the new things that they're sensing in the chemical and gas space. So all organic compounds, some of that stuff's really cool. And they keep adding to the list of that. And the applications are just all over the place. Yeah. A lot of stuff with the DoD, right? Department of Defense. But there's also some cool stuff around on the medical side because of COVID, being able to look at the room and determine whether there's a group or formation in the city of crowds. So again, that's all cameras. So it's a lot of site stuff.
City of Compton.
Yeah.
City of Compton.
Well,
Long Beach, LBC.
Oh, with the LBC.
I mean, who would have known that she's like the most gangster of the members here,
I could, yes, it's my favorite. Some of the other stuff that I came across that was kind of cool is around whether something is taken or stolen because it's supposed to be fixed and it's gone. And then the last things that I came across, and then I wanted to ask you guys, some of you guys are probably way more experts in this, but some of the trends around sensor fusion, where all of these things are coming together and they're working in conjunction, and the data coming off of it. So they may be combining a couple of data elements from more than one sensor to make a decision as to what's happening. Yeah. And then a really cool one I came across was the fact that they're using sensor networks for physical security and even network security. So talking about IoT or sensor networks. And so I'm like, maybe some of you guys that maybe have come across some of this, explain some of that. Because that one is, I'm trying to understand how the network security piece is evolving through the use of sensor networks and sensor technologies. But sensor fusion, anybody want to talk about that cool topic?
I mean, perfect example is these autonomous cars, right? I mean, you're taking LiDAR information, you're taking proximity sensor information, you're taking maybe feeds off of an algorithm from a visual camera. They also use flare or whatever, forward-looking infrared, all kinds of sensors that and then you have the fusion of that information in creating a superset or maybe even a synthetic view that can create new capabilities, and ultimately for an autonomous vehicle it enables autonomous driving, right? You have contextual awareness that you wouldn't have with a single mode of sensing. Whether
totally, you need a network to bring it all back.
Yeah,
with that, I gotta go.
Could this fusion lead to a supernova?
See.
Take it from here, Rob. I gotta go gotta run an errand. Bye.
Hey, be careful,
you have to take. You don't take an errand. You usually take.
I'm running an errand. I'm running an errand. Errand? You know what? ESL kid, English as a second language. What can I say? I'm still learning.
You're free to go and use the restroom. Please go.
Bye, guys.
There you go.
Oh, jeez. I have to take.
Can I go?
Okay.
Take a break.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
So sensor fusion. I know, Mark. I saw you kind of moving your head. Some of the projects that you're working on. Are you? Like, what are some of the advancements and some of the cool stuff that's happening in that space, or things that you're seeing?
I wanted to do some thinking before that. I always had some issues with sensors that are not physical, like chemical sensors. Like you mentioned, these chemical sensors, and I always had problems with the calibration of those sensors. So you can have measurement of CO2, but how do you know that this sensor is calibrated? How do you know that the tiny particle that it's inside the sensor, it's in good shape or not? And for me, that's the tricky part. Sorry, say again?
No, just saying, who's watching The Watchmen?
Yeah. By the way, Rob, turn your volume up, dude.
Okay.
Turn your volume up.
So we can hear you better. You probably can hear us.
You're usually the loudest, and now you're the.
Now is this helping?
Yeah, that's much better.
Zoom is just giving him less volume.
Yeah.
Zoom is giving me less volume.
Don't worry, I'm gonna compress all this stuff so.
You're gonna compress it when you.
The levels will be up, everyone. But. Yeah.
No, the thing is this: when you are in a project where you need like some specific sensors and calibration, it's really important. And if you need, for example, now for these chemical sensors, if you need to recalibrate them every year, that's a lot of money. For example, so how you get like how can you solve that on a project where you are digitalizing, but on the other hand, you need more people actually to get the same work.
Yeah.
I'm curious because when you're working on projects and you're thinking through this, because just from talking to a couple of sensor companies, especially some of the startups, they struggle with how they go to market. Do we create a form factor and just sell directly to other tech companies? Do we work with embedded OEMs and try to license out our IP so that our sensors are being used with, which is way more challenging for them, or do they do some kind of hybrid or partner, so they're struggling really, really hard. Like there's some great technologies and sensor companies that are out there, but there's so many, and there's the market's so congested that they have a hard time in terms of how do they actually get into the hands of the products that are going to businesses or to consumers. And it seemed like CES is definitely more consumer oriented, but mostly all of the announcements that they had were all like smart home. It was all about the smart home, but I'm like, I don't see a lot of the funds and the money and the expenditures or the value coming from that side of the market.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough, right? Because for the most part, a lot of these sensors have been around, or these sensor types have been around for a long time.
Like my submarine.
Right. And so when you look at sensor innovation, you have some incremental things happening to existing sensor categories, but it could be a tricky game.
Isn't that a tough spot to be?
I'm just trying to think.
Because you have to have sensors. I don't want to overstate IoT, but you kind of don't have IoT if you don't have sensors or actuators. If you don't have that, then you're just pulling data from a database or something, or a human
making stuff up, or a simulation.
And then we've had all the basics analog sensors that we convert to digital. No doubt about it. They've been around forever. And so you're basically talking about, yes, it's necessary, but it's also a commodity. And when you're in a commodity space, it's going to be tough.
Right. Well, the components are commodity. I think where things get more interesting are where you start to have those applications, the algorithms that then maybe either enhance an existing sensor capability or function. That's kind of what so I'm going to get a little bit disgusting here, but you mentioned CES. One of the things I thought was really interesting, and I'm literally going to go into the toilet with this one, okay?
Oh, please don't.
Did you ever go by the Toto?
I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I hear Howard Stern talks about his Toto toilet all the time.
Oh, yeah. No, but let's be serious for a moment if we can. I mean, they actually do some really interesting stuff. And I covered them in one of the little reviews that I did, because they're really thinking, well, not only are they looking at the whole toilet thing as a function, as an experience, right? So they're trying to shape an experience. They're also integrating health monitoring functions into the toilet. And that was what really blew me away. Because do you ever watch The Last Emperor?
He said blue.
Huh? What?
Blew you away.
Oh, yeah. It totally blew me away. No, you ever watch The Last Emperor?
Sorry, I'm so immature.
Oh, no, we're all, trust me, doesn't matter how old you are. People are kids inside.
Yes.
We're even silly as hell.
Even a 25-year-old like me is super immature.
No, 25-year-old. You're a juvenile, man. You're like 12 years old.
Yeah.
But let me get to my point. So please. So this is going to actually arrive at a serious point. Okay. So I'm like sitting there talking to the rep there, and she's showing me their latest version, and this thing has a healthcare function. And you ever watch The Last Emperor, where the little baby emperor kind of poops in a bowl, and then you have this poop master? I guess he's a poop master because he examined the doo-doo, and he was like sniffing it and looking at it, and then he could tell the health of the baby based on that. Hey, come on. Hey, I'm trying to be serious here. We're talking about sensors.
The show just
gosh darn it.
There. It just crashed.
Going down a hole.
Somebody's talking about the
but they're using olfactory sensors. They fused a function so that you have these chemical sensors that have an olfactory function.
So are you saying that they can tell you whether your stuff is healthy or not?
Yeah.
Like whether you're sick or not, or your digestive system's messed up, or.
Come on.
So are you saying that exists today with some photo?
Diet. Yeah, I say, hey, you should eat this. You should eat that. Just like the poop master.
Or we discovered that you have 5 days to live based on what we just sampled.
You know what, guys? This is like sensor revolutionary stuff that's just being hidden away because of taboo.
I think you might be onto something.
I am onto something.
I think so.
Hey, Maisie. So cute.
Such a cute doggy.
Yeah. But
she won't leave me alone.
Would you be a user of that technology?
Huh?
Would you be a user of the technology?
What?
Of that technology? Would you install that on your toilet?
No. But okay. I could definitely buy into the other the experience aspect of it. I can tell you that right now. But no. So
the sensor smells your stuff.
Yeah, but that's a great.
What's the experience there? I mean,
you don't have one of these things. They're awesome. They're awesome.
No, I can't afford them.
Really?
I need to start another company.
What are you talking about? You just sold a domain name.
What if we started a company in Silicon Valley, kind of like Theranos, except we'll sample, that stuff in the toilet, and we will be able to tell you everything that's going on with your health and.
There's already a company that does that.
Like everything.
There's already a company that you send your stool sample and they will tell you your health.
I'm telling you. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but I mean, if you really just kind of take off your blinders and look at it for what it is, it's actually a great example of sensor innovation, right?
I'm totally down with this. So
yeah,
I wonder
the application is compelling.
I wonder how it compares to just a drop of blood or whatever. I mean, I think you're right. I think this could be huge.
But with COVID, I think this is crazy. With COVID, one of the big things that we're all like trying to figure out, especially, it's going to take a long time for everyone to get vaccinated if they get vaccinated.
Right.
One thing that we still have to deal with is there are people that are still sick, right? And so getting into public buildings and all that, do you really think that we're going to have to show a form showing that we got this, that, or so I'm like wondering if some of these sensor technologies through the entrance of a door is taking temps, but it's rolling through and identifying where people are safe or not. Getting them out of there.
You remember the news story early on last spring in Wuhan when they were noticing that it was traveling through the piping, sewage, whatever parts of the high-rise apartments. This goes right back to the toilet thing you're talking about. They were able to detect it that way. And so you could also use that to detect where it's at and hotspots and where
the hotspots.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, get the domain name, somebody.
All right. You know me, I'll be searching for it after this.
Yeah.
No, but
it needs to run in the cloud and the edge.
But being now connected with that, I know a couple of startups here in Barcelona that are doing like sensors for analyzing tests, like pieces of organs or something, or flesh, etc., to detect or blood. To detect faster specific diseases. So I think that's interesting on that area that the IoT or the sensor networks are getting, and maybe a test that can take like 3-5 days. In 20 minutes, you can have a
right, because right now it's about speed.
Like cancer of kidney, things like that. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think, the way that you have to think about sensors is you have the component that does the detecting, so a sensor that does detecting, and then above it, you're going to have the application, right? And so I think when you look at yourself as let's say a vendor in the sensor market, you just have to make that distinction. But I think most of the innovation, going back to what I was saying earlier, is creating new sensor functions. And I know one of the things that we want to talk about is the sensor networks. That's about how do we expand the footprint of the sensor the sensory range, if you will, or context, and then literally be able to profile a broader context of what it is that you're trying to measure or qualify. So that's the kind of way I think about sensor networks. And so, like, even in the case of industrial IoT, let's take a smart factory, for instance. I mean, it's how do you connect and network all these distributed or spatially distributed sensors to create a bigger view of what's going on within an environment, right? And so I think definitely has been a lot of thinking and innovation happening in terms of development of applications. It'll be interesting to see how, like, new wireless connectivity technologies like 5G and Wi-Fi 6E are going to push the envelope, right? I mean, I think that's what's really interesting, but there's also, depending on the scenario, whether it's, let's say, in a remote area where you're highly constrained in terms of power, how those types of architectures and solutions play out, because that's where, like, LoRaWAN and LoRa could be very, very useful and things that folks should maybe think about, especially if you're not looking at a situation where you have to exchange massive amounts of data. You can send metadata.
Metadata? What is that?
Talk about it.
Data about data.
Okay, so you guys had a great little thread going. I didn't jump in on on LinkedIn about Wi-Fi 6 versus 5G.
Or Kong versus Godzilla.
Or everything else, right?
Wi-Fi 6 versus 5G. Yeah, private 5G versus Wi-Fi 6.
Godzilla.
And you know
Kong
what? I didn't. Godzilla. After you guys did that, I was just kind of
versus Ethernet, which is
Ethernet.
Rodan.
Ethernet, the legacy.
The legacy.
But I was going to ask you guys, because I don't know much about this, but I was listening to some, I don't know if it's a podcast or a webcast or one of those things, and they were talking about the same topic, which was Wi-Fi 6 versus 5G, and someone popped in and started talking about Thread. I don't know anything about it. Does anybody know anything about Thread?
Thread protocol and network. It's just another kind of lightweight.
Is it? They acted like it was something completely different. So I wasn't sure what that was or what that was.
Yeah. It even has a number. What's the number? It's like 80 blah, 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 dot whatever 14.
I think it's 802.15.4.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! There you
go. Boom.
Yeah.
So awesome.
So actually, I think this was found at some point by Google. So they created the Thread protocol to create home connected. So like compete with Zigbee and Z-Wave.
Oh, so maybe more of a home like smart home application?
Yeah, exactly. But on the other hand, they are using a spectrum that it's low range communication. So they can get sub-gigahertz. That means that it can go like a mile away, the signal. So with one gateway or one router or whatever, they can get signal from one factory, for example. So that's pretty interesting, but I don't know. So I read about these like 5 years ago, maybe, and haven't read anything else.
I haven't heard anything.
I think Google is killing all the IoT projects since they acquired Nest, or that's my impression.
Okay. Now that makes more sense now.
Or even after they acquired Xively.
Oh, yeah.
Still can't get IoT going over Google. Yeah. They've tried a couple times. They never talk about IoT anymore.
I was actually.
It's been super quiet.
They talk about AI.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot. It's a lot.
Well, I mean, a lot of the big companies, they will stick to a good theme, and then if it fizzles out, they move on to the next one.
Move on to the next one. Shut down Gmail. Let's just move on. Yeah.
I mean, right now I'm hearing quantum from everyone.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's tiring.
It is.
Hear all these. I mean, IBM evangelists will even tell you. It's funny about the IBM quantum evangelists. You know what their purpose is? Is to actually tell people chill out. They said this stuff is not going to be, changing the world for probably another 2 decades. So don't go overboard with it.
Yeah.
Literally, that's their role, and their role
maybe because they've been burned by their last realm of going into the blockchain.
Yeah. I think so. And you're making a great point. I mean, I have an IBM background, but I do feel that they've placed some less than optimal bets on their business, and they've also had some challenges executing, more importantly, integrating, when you look at what AWS is doing. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about sensors. Right? But yeah.
Sensor fusion.
Wi-Fi 6. So Rob,
Wi-Fi 6.
Why is
we're going to just talk about Wi-Fi 6.
Why is Wi-Fi 6 the future?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to get fired from my company if I talk about Wi-Fi. Now, if I work for Cisco, then I'd be okay.
You could just say, what do you like about Wi-Fi 6?
I'm going to tell you what I like about it. And I'm also going to tell you why you should take it seriously. Indoors is what I'm talking about here. Yeah. So private 5G versus Wi-Fi 6E. Yeah. So Wi-Fi 6 got more capacity, got more uninterrupted connections going and things like that. It wasn't just about speed and range. Wi-Fi 6E, which I don't know for sure, it might be a US thing only. The FCC or somebody said, here's 1200 megahertz of spectrum we're giving to Wi-Fi, unlicensed. That's what E means.
Okay.
So CES, you saw the launch of the very first Wi-Fi 6E devices. The new Samsung S21 is the first Wi-Fi 6E smartphone. It should be taken seriously, not only because when we talk about 5G, we talk about, look at all that extra capacity and how much faster it is. Well, Wi-Fi 6E's got a whole bunch of capacity now, and it's faster. And if you're just talking about indoors, then it comes down to cost, to speed, to range. But don't ever underestimate the importance of familiarity to people, to tech people. Everybody, not everybody, but most people probably have a Wi-Fi router at their house, and they probably work at a company that when they used to go to the office, they see little Wi-Fi access points everywhere. Familiarity can kill better technologies any day of the week.
True.
And so somebody's comfortable with Wi-Fi and they go, it's just the new version of Wi-Fi. Well, let's just upgrade to that. And it can handle a zillion more devices now, and it goes farther and all that. It's going to make it tougher for folks like me pitching, indoor 5G with the combination over licensed spectrum that you've got to, do CBRS or something like that.
You make a good point, because a lot of the carriers for so long, starting from 2G, 3G going up, they have a group of professionals at their organization that are heavily focused on indoor wireless issues. Indoor wireless, solving that issue for different industries, because it has continued from from whatever G on, it's still a very big issue. And especially in some of the older buildings that really lack access to cellular connectivity. So, I see that as being it's still a gap in the market, no matter what we do and how we build out these networks. It's still a problem.
If I wanted to go out today and roll out new wireless technology inside my building, let's say I don't have anything, what am I more likely or more easily able to go do? Get internal 5G and some spectrum from the government, or go get some Wi-Fi routers and access points.
Yeah.
That's what you have to face, right?
Plug and play.
It's like switching costs. I got all my music on iTunes, but I love this new Galaxy S21, but I'm not going to switch because I'm tied and my switching costs are too high. Right. And therefore I won't switch, even if I think 5G is better. Right. And so we just should always be honest with ourselves, right? Yeah. When you're talking to customers, when we're talking about the real world.
Is it easy? Is it going to be expensive?
Yeah.
Well, the funny story here is that on IoT, there is no silver bullet. right? So
Right.
there will be a factory that 5G will be the right technology, and next to that will be another factory that will need LoRa, and then the other next one will need Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So that's a fun story of IoT, right?
Yeah,
This is
I
why
think
it's
that's the
so
beauty
complex
in
and challenging.
that's the beauty in IoT is that there are so many options.
Yeah.
It's the beauty, but it's also a curse for businesses that aren't well knowledged on what to do. They're looking to technology providers to help solve and answer that. They don't want to debate whether what's bigger, better, whatever.
Yeah.
They just want to know how much things are going to cost, and does it include the connectivity piece, the hardware piece, the software piece, whatever.
No,
so we continue to have work to do in the IoT sector in simplifying that and taking that pain out of the equation and helping them solve the problem instead of them having to debate each and every component.
Yep.
But then you do like a flat rate, right? And you as a company you say, okay, we have a solution for you. That's the price. And then that happened to me that they come and say, okay, that's good. We like that price, but give me all the unit price of everything, because maybe the connectivity we can talk with our provider of our telco.
Those are the hardest
price.
Those are the hardest customers. They want a nickel and dime and see all of the components and pieces. You have to assure them that you've already done the homework, that you're well equipped and looking across all the portfolio, and you have that expertise to help them and guide them make that decision. Because when they start going down that path, you got to have some combating angles to really go against that. Because some cases that's just a waste of your time and their time. They want to see it, but there are ways to kind of program that out too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the opportunities for 5G in the indoor space is to just take some of the robust capabilities that you get in a 5G network, those capabilities, and then just make them easy and small, right size it for the enterprise. And I think Ericsson's doing some stuff in that regard, and even offering things as a service to not only operators but enterprise. What is that? Internet Connect or IoT Connect or whatever that thing that you guys have?
Industry Connect.
Industry Connect, right?
Yeah.
So
like smoke detectors, and you just
yeah. So I know that there's a lot of folks going around saying, well, Wi-Fi 6 is just going to kill the crap out of 5G private, but the new opportunity with 5G is basically downsizing it and downscaling it, right, and making it more deployable in a private context. So because there's a lot of still very unique features of cellular wireless network technologies that aren't showing up in Wi-Fi, and you see the Wi-Fi guys trying to make it Wi-Fi more like a 5G.
No, Wi-Fi 6 was trying to copy the characteristics.
Basically,
of 5G.
right.
And I don't blame them. I would do it too.
Yeah, because what the
OFDM, whatever,
Yeah.
All that orthogonal stuff.
Yeah, a deep device-oriented security. The capabilities and administration, provisioning, all these things that are device-centric. Are things that are valuable, and so when you look at the connectivity needs of an enterprise, you can't just think of it in terms of general enterprise use, so connecting laptops and crap like that. You have to also think about, okay, now as things get smarter, you need to have a higher level of granular security that you can apply to these different connections. And so, 5G will completely make sense. Whether or not that's going to be, carrier hosted on licensed spectrum, or you're going to be going with CBRS on shared or unlicensed, because unlicensed is going to be there. The thing is that can Wi-Fi provide you with all the capabilities that 5G, these carrier grade capabilities provide? It's like, no, they really can't. So I think rather than looking at one dominating the other, or one beating the other, or Godzilla beating King Kong, or King Kong beating Godzilla, it's like, why don't they all just kind of be a happy monster family, and
there's no such thing.
Try to destroy the Ghidorah of connectivity, which is the thing that Mark keeps showing.
Yep.
But you need to get three. You need to get three of those and then put them up. And
I remember the telcos trying to destroy. Well, I think they already did destroying Sigfox, for example. Why they don't wanted to create the ecosystem, create the business opportunity, show the value, and then just fight. They were fighting even before the value proposition was even.
But maybe the thing is that you're going to have these connectivity service brokers, right? That may look at because a lot of enterprises are going to be sick and tired of all these vendors coming to them, telling them, well, you can only use this, or you should use this or that. They'll want somebody who's sort of going to be consultative. And
you know what? It's interesting that you say that. It was 5 years ago, Orbcomm, satellite internet. They work with all the carriers and resell that service as well. Yeah. So they just took it on because they knew that with their satellite solution, IoT solutions, that it's not universal across land, water, sea, all that. So they had to pull in all the pieces to make it work. But they leveraged their relationships and their partnerships with the carriers to be able to offer and resell that. So, and I think that, that made sense for them. So
yeah. I mean, for Sigfox, probably their problem is they have the wrong ecosystem play going on. And you guys know how much I hate the term ecosystem, but that really what it boils down to, right? Huh?
No, I said that device ecosystem.
So
speaking of that, did you see the news at CES? I haven't read into the details of it or what they're doing, but Samsung is also taking recycled old smartphones and leveraging and using them as IoT devices. But for a long time, folks have been talking about using smartphones as some kind of IoT device or connectivity device. Yeah. But they're taking it that next step in focusing on that sustainability, as we have, a lot of old retired devices that still can be repurposed, reused.
Maybe, Rob, this is where we're going to see.
I saw him yawn.
What?
I saw him yawn.
No,
you need some coffee, Rob?
You probably had an early day.
Yeah.
No, that's where we're going to start to see these mining tractors with iPhones.
Why not? Why not? So does that mean that they're going to take back my Samsung Focus Windows Phone? Focus. Or does it have to be a Galaxy device? Did you notice?
Is that the Ford Focus or the Samsung Focus?
Did you notice how I was on stage at CES launching the new Windows Mobile 2021 device?
What?
You didn't see me?
No, I didn't.
That was the headline of CES this year.
Wow, you get around working for Microsoft and Ericsson and everybody.
Windows Mobile 2021, new and improved Active Sync.
Oh my God. Wow.
Multi-touch start menu that pops up on your phone.
Yeah,
I know, but right about the time I get used to my latest Samsung version, they launched a new one, and I'm like,
I know.
Wait a minute. Sometimes I get free ones, but I haven't. It's been a year since I've been.
The luxury of you being you analyst people making all the big bucks and living the life of luxury and getting all the gadgets. all that money just flowing in, and you pontificating.
Wait a minute, Mr. Wine and Steak every night. Wait a minute.
God.
I think you should go with Wi-Fi 6E. I think you should go with 5G. Hey, remember, Qualcomm's going to help us with 5G laptops. Boom.
Yeah. Awesome.
They are.
They are. That's going to help. That's going to be a catalyst. So
elevate our kids.
That's right. We're going to elevate our kids.
I'm still looking for some laptops for those Dallas architect students.
How many more do they need?
30.
30. All right, I'm going to run over Staples.
They have Chromebooks, but the problem is those Chromebooks, the software, the architectures get all of their different software. It doesn't work on Chromebooks. So, I mean, it's great for, I think, for younger kids because they don't really use a lot of, software that requires, modernized laptop.
Are they trying to run AutoCAD on their laptop?
Yeah, you can't use AutoCAD on a Chromebook.
You need to get a big, expensive ThinkPad.
So anyone out there, we've got 30 architect students that are in South Dallas that we're really needing to get them some new laptops for their spring project.
Probably bigger screen laptops since
Help
they're
us out.
doing architecture design. They probably want, maybe instead of a little 13-inch, maybe they need a 16 or 17 or 15. Or
we would love that. But yeah, I think that they're at this point in time, they just want the software to work on their laptops so they can do their projects.
So people just send in your giant 16-inch MacBook Pros.
Awesome.
Send them to Stephanie.
Yeah.
Just
wipe them clean, please.
wipe them clean and send them to Stephanie.
COVID free.
It has at least 6 cores.
Yeah.
Send me your address. I will send you some stickers.
Yeah, you need stickers.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Do I need a Kubernetes sticker or something like that?
Yeah. Well, hey, we got to wrap it up. We covered a lot. We went from toilets to sensor networks to what all kinds of stuff, right?
And we
I don't even know what to
grunge.
call this episode.
We started with grunge like you should.
Rock. Awesome.
We're going to end with some gangster rap. See, we should play it out.
Yeah. Are you going to sing a song for the end?
Dun, 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 dun.
Is that the Loch Ness monster?
Oh, no.
Or is that that's a
Yes, how
unicorn?
cute. That is a unicorn.
That's a horse.
Just remember, folks, California knows how to party.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Know it. All right. Well, thanks for listening and to our IoT Coffee Talk.
Right.
Yeah. Make sure to punch that like button if you made it this far.
Punch that like button.
Yeah. And subscribe. Hopefully you got something out of it. I'm sure there was a nugget here somewhere.
Times
right?
like these, I learn to live again.
There you go.
Oh,
Foo
man.
Fighters, baby.
All right. Okay, guys. Take care.
Bye.
We're out.
Bye.